Okay, for our adjustable neck shoulder strap, we are going to make it as thin as possible so we don't have to worry about too much thickness. So we're going to do a double-sided strap, or some people call it a highlight strap or a peekaboo strap, in which we only fold over the edges of the exterior just by a little. And then you can add like a contrasting piece if you want. I'm not going to use a contrasting piece. I'm just going to use the same design as I have on the opposite side in the center. So what's going to happen is we are going to fold this over to where it meets like that. And that helps to kind of reduce the bulk all the way down the strap. Also, that way we can make it adjustable. So one end is going to have our round head Chicago screws on them, and the other end is just going to be looped through our rectangle or D-ring or whatever ring you used on the end of one of your actual zipper and snap pocket pieces, or the long zipper pocket piece, whatever you choose to use. I am going to use my zipper and snap pocket piece because instead of sewing my ends closed, I've added a Chicago screw or rivet, so I can unscrew that rivet and then remove my ring and reattach it if necessary. So I'll show you that in a bit after we get our strap here done. So to get started, I have one long piece of my exterior fabric that's going to be on the right side of the strap, and I have drawn 2 lines from each long edge in by 3/4 of an inch. So this line is 3/4 of an inch in from this edge, and this line is 3/4 of an inch in from this edge. Once you get that done, you are going to apply double-sided tape down the center between those 2 lines that we have created. So let me get that done. And at one end, you're going to add the tape all the way to the end. The other end, you're going to stop short about 3/4 of an inch. All right, so it's this end that I'm going to stop short with my tape, about 3/4 of an inch. It should be about right there. All right, so now that we have our tape added, we are going to remove the double-sided tape. And in all actuality, I'm not going to remove it off the entire piece because it's a long piece and I don't want it sticking to my table or the tape coming off. I am going to grab my interior. It's not really an interior, but it is kind of interior, the opposite side, the wrong side of the strap piece, which is short, not as wide as our exterior piece. And I'm going to line it up here with the end of the tape. And I'm going to work my way down the center, making sure I stay straight as possible and in between those 2 lines that I've drawn on. And also be careful not to pull. My vinyl that I'm using is a tad bit stretchy, so it's, you can be quite tempted to pull and stretch the vinyl, but we don't want that because we don't want any stretching of the strap to where it doesn't sew flat and correct. All right, so I am removing the tape, double-sided tape, as I go. All right, and I do have like a little bit of an end to cut off here. To make sure these ends are even. There we go. All right, so now that I have added the contrast piece or the interior piece, we are going to start folding in these edges. So first what we're going to do is we're going to add a piece of double-sided tape And I'm going to use my thinner double-sided tape. I'm going to add it right here, just to the outside of the line or the edge of our interior or contrasting piece, all the way down. And I'm going to do this on both sides. But I'm only going to demonstrate one side for you right now. All right, and now I'm going to add tape to the other side just as I did on this side. All right, so now that I have the double-sided tape added to each side, I'm going to start removing the backing from one end, little by little, and I am folding this raw edge into the center and pressing it down. Now, if you want to do double time and not have to go back and complete another step, you can start folding over this edge that you just did a second time, almost towards the center, and clip in place. If you don't want to do these at the same time, you want to take it step by step, you don't have to fold just yet. I am, however, going to fold now. For some reason, this makes me think like I'm going faster. So I'm gonna go ahead and fold just after I fold in this short edge or long edge. All right, so I have one side done. I have folded in my long edge twice, so that way the long edge is now overlapping the center, or if you're using a coordinating or contrasting strip of fabric or vinyl, that it's overlapping that center piece. I'm going to do the same now for the other side. Again, if you feel more comfortable just folding all the way down once and then going back to fold twice, feel free to do so. But I prefer to fold a little bit down once and then I fold in the edge a second time, like that, and clip it in place. All right, so now I have the strap folded. Both sides are folded towards the center, and still leaving just a little bit of peekaboo area there in the center. You know, as I mentioned in the beginning, it doesn't reduce a lot of bulk, but it reduces some bulk there in the center, which is great, and I do appreciate that, but it's also a very pretty strap. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to sew down both edges. And we are starting at the edge that has the center or peekaboo piece, even with the edge of the exterior piece. And we are going to sew down one long side all the way till we get to the end where the interior piece stops. We're going to back stitch. Just be careful not to sew past where that interior or peekaboo piece stops. So if you want, you can mark on the right side, make a mark where you need to stop and back stitch, if that helps. All right, so let's take these to our sewing machines and get the strap completed. Okay, so I have both of these long edges sewn. How cute is that? And I probably could have done a little peekaboo, a contrasting color, but I didn't have anything that I thought would match with this, so I didn't bother. All right, so for the end that has the short piece, you can do one of two things. You can fold it over if you choose to, and use this in your tri-glide where to sew, or you can clip it off and just add a little edge paint to the edge. I am not going to clip it off because I want to use it on my tri-glide. So I'm going to grab that right here, and I am going to take my zipper pocket and snap pocket piece that I'm going to attach this into with the tri-glide and feed it through. So let me grab that real quick. All right, so as mentioned on my, nope, wrong piece. Not the snap pocket. I kept looking at my zipper and snap pocket. That's not what I'm going to attach it to. I'm going to attach it to my long zipper pocket because I have, instead of sewing these pieces, and I still need to do some fray check on the end of these and melt my ends, so excuse those. But instead of sewing this piece down, I have actually added a rivet or a Chicago screw. So that way, if I want to remove my crossbody or strap that I've made, which is similar to a crossbody strap, it's just going to be adjustable and have my round head rivets on one end. I can do so. So what we're going to do is we are going to feed this end that is not completely closed and stop short with the interior through like this. So I want the right side to be up, feeding through. So both right sides are good. And then I am going to feed this loose end through my tri-glide piece. Loop it through this end. Okay, so I'm going to loop it through as I did, and then I'm going to take this end and I am going to sew these two pieces together. I'm just going to sew about a ½ inch. Actually, I'm going to sew twice. I'm going to sew a ¼ inch away from the edge and a ½ inch away from the edge. If you want to add edge paint to this, you can do so. I am going to add edge paint, but I'm going to wait until I go ahead and get this sewn all together, and then I'll add edge paint where needed. If you are a very sloppy painter, as sometimes I can tend to be, you may want to go ahead and add edge paint now so you won't get it all over your strap. But I'm going to add it just a little bit later. All right, so let's take this, and I'm going to sew it in 2 spots. You can sew it just once, but I'm sewing it for extra security. I'm sewing a ¼ inch away from the edge and then a ½ inch away from the edge. Okay, so I have those 2 pieces, or that piece, sewn in 2 places. And I am now going to loop the other raw end through. The ring like this. So the raw end's gonna go, it's still looped through my long zipper pocket, right sides to the outside, and then I am looping it back through this way like that, and I'm going to pull it through quite a bit. And the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to make my marks for my round head Chicago screw and the holes that the round head Chicago screw are going to go through. So if you have chalk, you want to grab that now. And I am going to do this on the right side because my chalk is a roller and not a pen, so I don't really have a mark or way to mark the pen. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to use pen. That's what I'm going to use because I'm going to punch a hole there anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this a little differently from the actual pattern piece. Because in the pattern piece, you have hole, 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 and then your rivet. We are going to do it with the rivet at the bottom and then hole, 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 because, and I'm just going to use the open end of my long zipper pocket as an example. When we take this through, instead of having it fold up like this, as we do for the other neck or shoulder strap, you can have it fold this way if you choose to. If you have like a contrasting piece that you want to show off, feel free to loop it through that way. I am not going to loop it through under. I'm going to loop it over and then through, down through the actual ring. And I am going to add my rivet head here and be able to snap it through holes that are above it. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. So I'm going to add my rivet to the end. And of course, I'm going to also edge paint my end here. But I'm going to add holes starting about 2 inches from my rivet head. All right, so that determines where we're going to make our marks. So I am going to make my mark on the wrong side, just using a pin. My rivet, or my round head Chicago screw, is going to be 1 inch from the end. So I'm going to mark 1 inch. I'm just using my table as the ruler. And then I'm going to make my holes starting 2 inches from the head where I'm putting the rivet, which would be right there. This would be my first hole. And then I'm going to make 2 more holes and possibly a 4th hole total. I think I will do that to make it more adjustable. So I'm going to make them 1 inch apart. So there's 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. So that's 3 total. I'm not going to mark my 4th just yet. And hopefully you can see that. Yeah, you can see a little bit of the ink. I'm not going to mark my 4th just yet. I'm going to see how this fits for me, and then I will mark the 4th. Okay, so I've punched my hole and I've added my round head Chicago screw rivet, and I'm going to punch my other holes. So I need to change my hole size because the hole size needs to be just large enough for the head of that rivet to fit through, but no larger than that. And 1 more. All right, so just as an example, making sure that I'm just using the other end of my same strap or my same zipper pocket. But you're gonna feed it through to where both right sides of the strap and the zipper pocket are up. And snap it there. Now, because my strap is adjustable, which, you know, is fantastic, I don't necessarily need to add any more holes unless you absolutely want to. If you want quick adjustments, you can always add some holes, or perhaps if you have somebody who really has a short torso or an extra long torso and is just super tall and needs it to hang longer, they can of course adjust, leave the holes at just 3, and then they adjust the tri-glide to make it shorter or longer. So I'm gonna make mine short because I am short. I am not tall whatsoever. I do not have a long torso. And our adjustable slider with a tri-glide is all done. I am going to add some edge paint, as I mentioned, to the tips or edges. I am going to cut this one just a little because I noticed that it's not even. So I'm just going to cut it a little. I did back stitch very well here for several stitch lengths. So I'm not risking cutting that stitching open if I cut it too short. All right. So I will add my edge paint, but other than that, we are done.